Okay, calling everybody out there. This is this is me. Thought I'd keep you guessing. Unfortunately, the live stream that I did wasn't exactly working out well. So I hope that you can find me this way. I'm just going to type in and say that I'm live now. Okay, Owen Fitzpatrick, latest videos. Okay. Okay, great. Right. I'm sure we've lost some people, but hopefully everyone else. Sorry, Jelly, can you stick a comment in the other section and put them all in there? That'd be great. Technology. One of the things, doesn't matter how much of an expert you are, technology will screw you whenever it gets a chance. So yeah, in the other weird type of video, can you just slot in Owen is live now and find this link? That would be great. See if I could share it. Yeah, I can copy it actually. And I'm going to put it in the chat here. And then if you can spread the word, Gillian, this would be great. And we will get started momentarily, everyone. So Jilly, could you copy that and just put it into the other video? And hopefully we'll get up to a bunch of people in this as well. So you got 4. This is me on live on YouTube. And that's the link there, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll spread it over to everybody. So apologies about this, guys. We had about 20 people on the other thing, and looks like we're not going to have that now. So we're just going to have to take the hit, and we're going to have to learn from our mistakes, and we're going to have to be very good, because that's the only way to do it. The only way to work whenever you're screwed over by something is just to accept what is. And I'm just going to wait for another moment or two, and then we will get straight to the Facebook Live or to the YouTube Live. So apologies, everybody. But these things happen, you know. We can't always make things perfect. So therefore, please say hi so I know who I'm talking to. That link, if you can share with anyone you know that wanted to be at it, please share that link with other people. Yeah, we will get going with this. We have me, and yeah, thank you so much, Christina. That's great. So hopefully people will see the other link and come over here, and we will get started in a momentarily. So good to see you, Christina. Good to see you, Carola, David, Jillian, and hopefully we'll get some more people in. Hopefully more people will join. This is me live. The link here is YouTube. I'm just going to post that in, let me see, in Slack to something. We're going to start any moment now, my friends. We will be starting with the various 12 steps towards building a successful expert business. We had some technical difficulties, but they're all okay now. And you can all see me. So this is, yeah, 9 people. Andreas, how's it going? Jillian, thank you so much. You shared in the Facebook group. Thanks very much. Andreas, good to see you. Right, so we got 9. Let's say if we can get up to about, you know, double digits, a little bit into double digits, so that we at least have half of the people there. Angela, you're on. Hello, Angela, how's it going? There's a few people missing, but hopefully they're going to see it anyway. So anyway, I'll put a note on this to skip the first few minutes while I'm waiting for people to come in, and we will get straight into the business and stuff. Hey, Amber, you're in as well. Okay, we got 11, right? I know we were up to more than 20, but sure, look, it is what it is. So we will keep moving forward and stuff like that. So, all right, plenty of advices here from Darren. All right. All right. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Great works now. Okay, let us continue. So let us start really. Apologies about all that, but we are going to get cracking now. And this is the third of the day, third session of the day. This is on the 12 steps towards an expert business. And in this particular session, what I want to do is share with you what would I do if I was starting from scratch, right? So if I was starting the business from scratch, what would be the steps I would take? What would be the very things that I would do to make sure that I build up the business from that point of view? And so I'm going to go through them now. Hopefully you'll find some of these really useful and handy. Again, I'm going to give you the overview of exactly what the 12 steps that I would take in order to build up the business, the expert business. So step number one would be build your brand. And by build your brand, what I mean is the first thing you need to do is you need to focus on exactly who you are in the marketplace. You need to identify not only, like I'm assuming you already have the expertise. So I'm assuming you've already mastered the art of, coaching or style or NLP or whatever it is. And once you've mastered that, once you've mastered the art of that specific area, that specific topic, then you need to build a brand around that. So what I would be doing is I'd be looking at, right, what do I stand for? Right? What kind of personality do I have? What makes me unique? What makes me different? And I would be looking at color schemes. I'd be looking at fonts. I'd be looking at word choices, right? Adjectives to use to describe myself. What metaphor would you use to describe yourself? I'd be using all of those and try to figure out very clearly, what is my brand? Who am I? What do I do? Who do I deliver it to? Who do I help? And I would be answering all of that questions first. I would do that before I do anything else. Once I did that, then I would go into the second step, which is positioning. And this would be where I'd be looking at, if this is who I am, then how do I fit into the marketplace? So I know who I am, I know what I stand for, I know what I deliver, I know who I offer it to. But now I want to figure out more logistical things like, who am I competing with? And what do they offer? And what kind of products or services do they offer? And what kind of products or services do I want to offer? And how do I compete with them? What's the competitive strategy there? What are they doing on social media? What are they doing on their website that works? What are they doing on their website or social media that isn't working that I know I could do better? So you're learning from your competitors and you're identifying how you're positioning yourself in the marketplace. They'd be the first two things I'd start with. Brand yourself clearly, position yourself clearly. Because once you've branded it, once you know who you are, who your target audience is and what you do for them, and once you understand how you fit in and what you offer compared to everybody else, then the third step then is for you to go on and start to go, right, this is who I am. This is how I fit in. And then you want to be able to set up your business. So I recommend you actively do it before setting up. Why? Because when you set up your business, you have to pick your business name, and your business name should be a byproduct of your branding. Right? You want to be able to figure out what service you offer, because that might determine whether or not you get, what kind of insurance you get, right? Because you might need insurance. You more than likely will need some form of insurance, public liability or professional indemnity insurance, right? So you need to figure out the answer to the question, who am I? What am I going to be doing? How am I going to fit in there? What kind of products or services I'm going to offer? Then you set up your business. You give it a name. You can name it yourself or you can name it something else, right? But you give it a name. You register if you're in the States, it's an LLC. If it's in Ireland, it might be a limited company, or you register your name as a sole trader, but you register yourself and you build the actual business. You get a bank account for the business. So if people pay you, they're not just paying into your personal bank account. You want to set it up so that they pay into your business. And if so, the aim will be very soon, you want to get to a place where you can pay yourself a salary from the business, right? So that you're not necessarily treating the account in the same way as everything else. So you want to get the business side of things right. I made lots of mistakes when I first started off. So I'm sharing with you the best practices based upon the mistakes I made, but also based upon what I've learned from other people. So you want to make sure that your business is seen as a separate entity to you. Now, even if you're sole trader, which in Ireland, or sole proprietor in the States, where for tax purposes, whatever you earn, whatever your profit is, that's what you're taxed on. I still recommend you get it into your head that the business itself is separate to you, and try to get into your head to be paying yourself a salary and paying yourself and paying into an account for tax to save that money from the outset. So I would set all of that up real early on. I'd be figuring out, right, I don't know how much I'm going to earn, right? But what I would do is I would say every penny that goes in, there's three things you have to worry about. Number one, expenses. Number two is salary. And number 3 is tax. And I would be very clear over making sure that as I move on consistently, that I account for all 3. So let's say I make, $5,000 in the first month. If I make $5,000 in the first month, I got to get into a habit of going, okay, so how much of that do I need to pay the expenses? And for that, in the business section, this part, you might go, right, what are all the things that I need to buy? Once you've done branding and positioning, that will help you understand exactly what kinds of software you need, what kind of equipment you need. And that will allow you to know what kind of money you need to be spending on your business. So that's the first thing you check. And then you go, based upon that, what are you going to pay yourself a salary to start with? And I would always try to make sure that you incorporate tax and make sure that you pay yourself a salary, but also save up some tax as well, because you don't want to be hit at the end of the year. They'd be my basic recommendations from a business point of view. You might need to, register copyrights if you've got intellectual property that you want to put out there. There's all sorts of questions you want to have with setting up the business. But the first part is know your brand. Can't emphasize it enough. Build your brand first and foremost. Number 2, position yourself in the marketplace. Know what your competitors are doing. Know what your competitors are selling. Know what they're going for. Know what they're looking for. And then once you've got the branding right, so you know exactly who you are and what you offer and what you do, and then you've got the positioning right, you know who you're competing with, what you're offering, what they're offering, how you're promoting yourself, how they're promoting themselves, and you're very clear over exactly how you're positioning. Then you build a business. You give it a name. You register it. You set up your bank account, you get your checkbook, you get your credit card, you do all the things you need to do from a business point of view. So you've established a business, and take it seriously like a fucking business. You're not Owen Fitzpatrick, the NLPer, or Owen Fitzpatrick, the psychologist, or Owen Fitzpatrick, the influence expert. You're Owen Fitzpatrick Limited, or LLC. I've got a limited company called Owen Fitzpatrick International Limited, and I also have an LLC here in the States called Owen Fitzpatrick LLC. And I also have it so that I do a thing called Doing Business As, which is a DBA in the States. And you can also register a business name in Ireland where it's Changing Minds. So I can be known as Changing Minds as well as Owen Fitzpatrick LLC. So I build the business side of things first. And I set all that up so that I know, and I get into the habit, the financial stuff's important, that I know whenever I take in money, I know some of it'll be spent on expenses. Some of them will go into my salary, but I never take salary without accounting for tax. So personally, I've got a private account that I use to pay tax in the States, where I just put in money for tax purposes. So whenever I pay myself some money, I always pay the tax thing first. I estimate the tax. You just estimate the amount that you think it will be. Generally speaking, in Ireland, for instance, up to 30 grand or so, it's like, probably, if you add up all the taxes, it's probably close to 30%. And then once you get over 30 grand, it gets up to like 48% or 50% even. Some other countries it's more, and then certain other places it's less, but you estimate it based upon what you think. But that would be what I would do. I'd set up the business. It would be the third thing. The fourth thing I would do is to build a website. Now, people always ask me, why would you build a website, right? So far we have build your brand, position yourself in the marketplace, set up your business. The fourth thing would be build a website. People say, why would you build a website? Well, to me, the website is really a really important exercise. Forget about the fact that it puts you out there in front of the world. It's also a great exercise to solidify your brand and to really put you, to make sure that you're consistently clear over exactly who you are and exactly what you offer to the world. So I would make sure that you take some time to build a decent website, not just to act as a calling card to show that what you offer, what you can do for people, but I would also take some time to make sure that you create consistently inside of your, inside of the brand. This is really where you're putting the brand, where you're nailing your colors to the mass, if you will. You're saying, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And, you can bullshit yourself when you do the branding, you can kind of bullshit yourself, but when it's right there in public in front of people, you can't bullshit it. And so I would actually say the website, a big part of the reason is to get your branding and positioning right. Because when you have the website, it does that. But the other thing is it's also it's verifiable for people. People can look up your website and go, oh, this person seems to know what they're talking about. And it doesn't have to be a huge website, but it should be something that maintains you or positions you in a strong way. and also offers you the opportunity to be able to collect their email, for them to go somewhere where they can collect a free gift from you in exchange for their email. They can sign up to your newsletter. They can get your free video series. They can do any of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you. But it starts with a website. Have a place for them to visit you online. And as I said, I know a lot of people just have Facebook pages. Well, I think just having a Facebook page is a big mistake, because you never know what Facebook's going to do. Facebook could fuck off tomorrow, right? Very easily. There can be all sorts of privacy laws put in. They're always under threat. Get your website, get that focused. So I would say website is number 4. Number 5 would be set up your email software and build it lead magnets. What do I mean by this? What you need to do is you need to get customers. And the way to get customers isn't just to get visibility. So here's what happens. Traffic comes and hopefully will visit your website, right? So hopefully people will come along and see your website and they go, oh, website, okay. And they'll check your website and see if you know what you're talking about. But what you want to do is you want to capture as many of them, their emails as possible. Because when you want to get customers, if you want to sell to people, you need to have lists of people that you can sell to. Because typically people are not going to turn around and just buy your products because they visit your website once. You want them coming back to your website. You want them consuming more of your content. You want to be able to reach out to them, not to hope with your fingers crossed that they're somehow going to find you. And so in order for you to be able to do that, what you need to do is you need to find a way to bring them into the funnel. And the way that you would bring them into the funnel is that you create the opportunity for them to sign into the email list that you have. So how do you do this? You set something up like, a MailChimp or a ConvertKit, right? Or one of those, email service providers. And what they do is they allow you to be able to store names on them. And then what you do is you can create automatic emails to them. So when they sign up, you say, thank you so much. And then you can create what we call lead magnets. And lead magnets is something free you give them. So it could be like a free video you do. Hi, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick. In this video, I want to share with you the 5 secrets of blah, blah, blah. And so I record a video. I put it on a private YouTube channel, right? Or a private YouTube link or a Vimeo link, right? And then I have that link that I can share with anybody, but I don't. And then I make it so that I create this page saying, hey, do you want a free video on this? If so, just give me your name and email and I'll send it straight to you. Then you put the link to the video that you've just recorded and uploaded. You put that into the email, into an automated email. So when someone signs in and gives you their name and email, they get an automatic email saying, thank you so much for subscribing, or thank you so much for reaching out and wanting the video. Here's the link to the video. I hope you enjoy it. Right. So at a very basic level, that's what I would do at the start. I would just create the video, get it, or create a PDF. Right. Go to canva.com, design a nice little PDF, put some nice content in there based on your expertise that helps them solve a problem or whatnot. Create that and put it into a PDF, save it as a PDF, and then have it in an automatic email where they can access the email. So you can attach the PDF into the email. So they get the automated email or a link to the PDF in some way. But either way, what you're doing is you're giving them something for their name and email. And the other thing is a newsletter, which probably don't call it a newsletter. I wouldn't call it a newsletter. I'd say my weekly email. So I probably do a weekly email, even though the one I have at the moment is bi-weekly, every second week. But I'd have a weekly email where I'd say, look, every week I'm going to share with you some really cool insights on this, this, and this. And I would try to capture as many people into my email list as possible. So the way it works is they come onto your website, and on your website, there might be a pop-up, which you can create easily. Or it might be a banner where it says, hey, do you want free blah, 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 blah? Do you want a free video series? Do you want a free weekly email? Do you want a free video training? Do you want a free PDF? Do you want a free ebook? Whatever it is. If so, just put your name and email. They put their name and email. It goes through the internet into your email provider. Now you've stored their email. Now you've got one extra subscriber. And now they get you've set it up so they get an automated link which says, hey, here you go, enjoy it. Hope you love this video series or this PDF. And then you can then continuously stay in touch with them, right? So you send them a weekly email or whatnot. Now, if you live in Europe, there's the GDPR, which means that if you want to email them on a weekly basis, right, you need to get specific permission for that. So you can't just go, look, I'll send you my PDF and then naturally add them to the email, the weekly email, right? So you have to be careful in Europe to make sure that they know what they're signing up for. And then there's another thing called double opt-in, which means that, you don't immediately send them the stuff. You say, look, just to confirm, check your email, and they just double click a link in the email. But again, ConvertKit or MailChimp all does that themselves. So I would definitely set that up next, because there's no point in you getting all this great traction online if there's nowhere for people to go. It doesn't matter if you get like an interview on television, right? Because if you send them to your website, all they'll do is look at your website and leave. What you want is you want them to go to your website, see the lead magnet, get the lead magnet, give them your email. Now, all of a sudden, they're real prospects, people that you can contact again. So that is step 5. So far, number 1, build your brand. Number 2, position yourself in the marketplace. Number 3, set up your business name, the bank accounts, like I said. Number 4, build your business or build your website, right? That's a way of hosting your brand online, right? And it's a very way of making sure that you're consistent with that. Then number 5, set up email and list building in terms of lead magnets and stuff like that. So free stuff you'll give them in exchange for their emails. So when you get the traffic, then there's somewhere for them to go. It's really important you do these 5 steps first, because if you make the mistake of going out there and setting up all these social media channels, you got lots of people, but maybe they'll follow you on Facebook. But let's say Facebook, you have a problem with Facebook. Let's say Facebook bans you for some reason, Sometimes people get shadow banned and stuff like that, or some people get completely kicked off the platform. So if that happens, you're screwed. So the best thing to do is to make sure that you are in control over the people who put their attention on you. So that's why I'm saying these 5 steps should be first. You should not wait and procrastinate before you get your list. Now, if you're already you haven't done in this sequence, my recommendation is go back to the basics and start with the sequence again. It's the smartest thing to do. Number 6, then you execute a social media strategy. What do I mean by this? This is when you get out to the world and let people know who you are. Now, you decide where you want to be. You want to go into TikTok? TikTok's good for people up to the age of 30, but it may well increase. It's not great from a sales perspective. Like, you won't get a massive amount of sales via TikTok, but it's great from a branding perspective because you can get a lot of eyeballs. And whereas Facebook will barely show any shit that you put on it to like your followers, TikTok, you're more likely to get more visibility. But it's short spans of time. So if you're an expert, more than likely you'll have, just a few seconds to be able to post certain types of content. So you need to make sure that you're really good at explaining something within a few seconds, and that you can do so in a creative way, because a lot of shit to do with music and dancing and pointing to boxes, that, all sorts of stuff like that. So if that works to you, if you're appealing to that kind of audience, and if that fits with your persona, you like that stuff, then go ahead. TikTok's on the up and up. Instagram is also still going up. Facebook's probably in decline, but Facebook's still the most popular because it's billions of people on the platform. It's just harder to get seen on Facebook. And Facebook is more about, reaching out to people where they are, whereas Instagram is really about trying to bring people into your Instagram profile, your Instagram content. But again, with Instagram, stories tends to be more popular than feed. So once again, if you can create regular content, videos, photographs, those kind of things as forms of content, that's good. Then there's YouTube, obviously, videos. It's a good idea to post at least once a week if you're going to really focus on YouTube. It's more so long form content, I suppose we'll get into, but if you're just doing short videos or whatever. And then there's also Twitter as well, where you can like regularly tweet. Tweeting would probably be a few times a day if you want to optimize. Facebook might be once a day, Instagram once a day post, but then, consistently using stories and doing Instagram lives, Facebook using lives regularly, using groups. Those are the kinds of things that I would do, but I would probably focus personally. I would focus on Instagram, and I'd probably focus, or Instagram or YouTube. I'd probably decide which one, but probably Instagram, and then LinkedIn if I was doing corporate stuff. So if you're doing corporate stuff, that's where I'd be putting all my energy and effort into cultivating and building a brand there. But you create a sort of a pattern where you post regularly, right? So the key with all of this is consistency. You're rewarded for consistency. And the beauty of social media is it's really like you're going out into the marketplace and you're letting people know that you exist. And the aim is to make them interested enough to come back to your website to sign up for your newsletter, to sign up for your lead magnet. That's the aim. So you're not trying to just build followers. The benefit of building followers in social media platforms is it's good for social proof. But the disadvantage is that you don't own like the details, right? So if, like I said, if things go belly up, you're screwed. Whereas if you have them on your email, then it's safer. As well as if you have them on your email, they're more likely to buy than if you just meet them on social media. So when they've actually signed up for your regular email and they're regularly hearing from you, you're more likely to get a sale down the line when you've products or services. But what I'd have is, I'd have a social media strategy where I've decided which platforms am I using and how often would I go on them. And again, I think depending on where I want to get to, but YouTube or Instagram would be the way that I would work it. And I would try to focus on one primarily, and then maybe add a second one. And then once you've established those two, then I would start getting into all the other stuff. But I would definitely focus on one for the time being. Decide on a long form content option. So this is really what I was getting to YouTube. I'm really getting to, instead of thinking of YouTube as a social media, which it can be, right? It can be for like really short videos. But instead, you could use that as a long form. So really, you could focus on Instagram and social media, and then YouTube could be your long form content. What do I mean by long form? What I mean by long form is content that might last more than 10 minutes, for them to watch or to listen to or to read. So the three primary forms of long form would be a blog post, like a proper article that you wrote. So you create your own blog, or a podcast episode where you create a podcast and you put it out there. And people can listen to it on iTunes or Spotify or Google Play or whatnot. And then also a video channel, right? So you produce regular videos once a week, again, around about 10 minutes or so or more. And what that is it's you demonstrating your expertise in a way that people can consume it properly, almost like a proper TV show. Social media is more like ads or short little bites or clips from you. Whereas long form content gives them a chance to go, oh, Owen's talking about this for a while. He knows what he's talking about, right? She's talking about this topic. She must know what she's talking about. So what you're doing is you're deciding on a long form content option, deciding, are you going to go into video? Are you going to go into podcast? Are you going to go into blogs? And once you make that decision, the next step then is to build a long form content schedule, making sure, again, content consistency is the key. So how often are you going to post on YouTube? How often are you going to post on, podcast? Again, I'd focus on one of them. Either do a podcast or do a video or do a blog. Now, you can do all three, right? You can even do a video one that you record also as a podcast, and you can transcribe it and turn it into a blog post. But the more you do, the more work it involves. And given how I know, or what I know about all of this work, is it's a massive amount of work, and it's hard to see specific dividends, like, or specific ROIs from the time you spend on long form content or even social media. It's hard to see it because it doesn't work in a linear way. It's not like, oh, I went on Facebook all the time and I got lots of, client requests. Someone could see your content for a year and not say anything. And then all of a sudden, after a year, they reach out to you. Unfortunately, that's the way it works. So once you build a long form content schedule, it means you know that you're going to create content every week. I would recommend for podcasts, it should be weekly. For videos, it should be weekly. For blog posts, it should be weekly. I mean, all of it should be weekly. If you can do more, great. But it's more important to be consistent weekly than it is for you to do it like twice and then not to do it for another 3 weeks. So try to keep consistent, decide on the long form content schedule. And once you do that, then every time that you create a new blog post or a podcast or whatever, you can push it out to all your social media platforms. So you get the link and then you send that link out and you post it to your stories on Instagram or your feed, or you put it in your newsletter. You make sure people know about it on a consistent basis. And even the newsletter, you could have it so that every week, all it is letting people know what's in your latest podcast episode. I mean, that could be your newsletter, but it just means that you're streamlining and making it as easy as possible. And so I'd highly recommend that. It's good to have a variety of content, like written and video and audio. But to start off with, I would really get some traction in one of the long form content solutions. So that's number 8. So far we have number 1, build your brand. Number 2, position yourself in the marketplace. Number 3, set up your business name, accounts, business, bank accounts, etc. Number 4, build your website. Number 5, set up your email software and build lead magnets. Number 6, execute a social media strategy. Pick a social media channel and figure out how you're going to use it. And again, this will be easier because you've already done the positioning piece where you've looked at and studied your competitors. Number 7, decide on a long form content option. Number 8, build a long form content schedule. Then number 9, host live events. So what do we mean by this? I'd recommend trying to get to a position where you're working face-to-face with people, free to start with, and then paid events. But live streams, because we're living in a virtual world at the moment, you would start off with live streams or live events, Facebook lives, Instagram lives, YouTube lives, if you figure out the camera stuff first, right? You would start off with live events. And once you do the live events, the reason you want to do that is because it gives you interaction. It gives you immediate feedback. You start to learn from that. You start to make real connections to your listeners. And it's a good idea to get to do that pretty soon on, because look, you create a YouTube, that's great, but it's only after the fact that you see the comments. But if you can do a live and start to interact with the people that you're talking to, you put yourself in a much better position as a result. So try to make it so that you're hosting live events on a consistent basis. Make it so that you're regularly interacting with people. And if you can do it in the real world, when it comes back to normal, you can do some freebies in the real world, all the better. Because number 1, you get practice in speaking in front of audiences or speaking in front of clients. Number 2, you get real-time feedback and you get to understand. And number 3, you get to truly understand exactly what's most important to them and listen to the way they describe the problems, which all helps you from a marketing as well as a content creation point of view. So I'd host live events then. Then I would create products. Once you've gotten the feedback and the information, then you're in a position where now you don't want to make it so that the only time that you ever work is when you're working in front of people. What you want instead is you want to build products. You want to create products that can solve the problem that people have, but don't require you there for it. So I'm talking online products. I'm talking audio products, video products, even ebooks that are able to help them solve the problem, roadmaps, right? Whatever it is that you create for them, be thinking through what could I give them that they could take away and use and could help them solve their problems. And by the way, down the line, this could be a book, right? So this could be a book to write that will solve all the problems. But you start to really ask yourself the question, what are the things that I could create for them that they would pay for that would help them solve a massive amount of problems in their life? And so that's when you start to think through products and you think through, all of that sort of jazz. Books, when you're going to write a book, what's going to be in the book, always be thinking about that. But that's about the time I would do that, because I'd want everything else already up and running. I'd want, to be clear about my brand. I want to position myself. I want a website for them to go to. I want to capture their name and email. I want my social media, put me in front of people. I want to have a long form content that people can consume to buy into how good I am. I want to host live events, so I'm starting to interact with people. Then I'd want to have a product to be able to offer them, right? So that they could buy. And then the next step would be creating marketing funnels. And what this is really about is about helping people to go, okay, let's say they sign up. Well, then it's a case of you not just going, here's my newsletter, here's my newsletter, here's my newsletter. Do you want to buy? But you also want to make it so that you create sequences that get people into the state where they buy. So 2 main sequences would be a sales sequence and a nurturing sequence. So a sales sequence would be when you send them an email, like they show interest in something, you send them an email and you talk to them about a problem and you offer a suggestion about it or a solution. And then you say, oh, I have a really exciting, news on a new product that's coming out. Then the next one teases a bit more of the product. Then you announce the launch of the product. Then you tell them about how great the product is. Then you say, oh, I'm only taking orders up to this date. But in that, you've got a sales sequence of emails that is getting them excited about a product and then selling the product and giving them a limited time to be able to do it or a limited time for the deal. That's a sales sequence. But then there's the nurturing sequence. So what happens when you're not selling? And that's when you want to keep providing value to them. And a newsletter is a good example of this, where you constantly email them, not always asking for everything. But the key is you need to set up the marketing funnels so that based upon when they sign up to your newsletter or what they sign up for or what lead magnet they sign up for, they go into a funnel. And this funnel brings them through a set of steps where they go from sales funnel to nurturing funnel to sales funnel to nurturing funnel. In other words, the funnels are really sequence of emails they get. And sometimes your goal is give them lots of value, nurture sequence. Sometimes your goal is sell stuff to them, sales sequence. Now, even the sales stuff, you're still giving them value, but you're letting them know of your product or service that you have to offer. And so what you want is you want to set those up so that as you build new products, you've got like sales sequences and nurture sequences for each of them. So you can keep going around. And when you get really fucking ninja about this sort of stuff, that's when, they say no to this product so that you then cross-sell them on something else. Or they say yes to the product and then you upsell them, which means once they've bought something, you offer them something else as well. Or another one is downsell. So they say no to you. And then you say, well, if that was too expensive, how about this? So there's all sorts of sophisticated things. But the problem is people jump way too quickly at this. They start off the business and they're straight into ClickFunnels. And they go, oh, I need to do this. Don't be a victim of the shiny object syndrome. Stay consistent, be clear over exactly what the steps are, and work it that way. And then number 12 is scale to success. Once you've got funnels working for you and you're selling products while you sleep, and you've got everything streamlined, so you're growing it, and your job is really about creating consistent, captivating content, both long form and also social media, and you've got yourself ahead of the game there, and you've a set practice of capturing leads and all that. Once that's all good, then you start to scale. You build more products, right? You occupy more social media channels. You hire people to be able to put out the content that you have. And so you start to scale the business, right? You scale in terms of size, you scale in terms of volume, the amount of stuff that you do, the amount of people that you reach. That's when you start putting money into ads. There's no putting money into ads. Like, I know people who they'll put money into ads. They haven't even built their brand yet. If you don't know who you are, why are you putting out an ad to people when you haven't been able to define who you are in that moment? It's the dumbest thing you can possibly do. So if you're gonna start investing money into ads, which can be quite profitable, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube or Google, before you do it, make sure you've got all the other ducks in a row. To summarize, number one, brand yourself clearly. Know who you are, know what you stand for, know what you don't, know what problem you solve, know what makes you stand out, what makes you unique. 2, position yourself in the marketplace. Know who your competitors are. Know what you do better than them. Know what they do better than you. Know what their price points are. Know what products they offer. Know what service they offer. Know how their website looks. Know what their social media channel is like. And then how is yours? Know all those questions about you. Number 3, set up your business. Get your business name right. To take care of any of the legal shit you need to. Get your accounts in order. Set up a business account, checking account, and credit card account, right? Get all that done. Get your insurance if you need it. Make sure you have a proper business and get into the habit of paying yourself a salary and paying tax as well, and make sure that you're clear of it. Even if you don't know exactly how much, plan for it, prepare for it. Get the equipment that you need. Know what expenses, track it. Number 4, build your website. Position yourself online. Make sure your branding and positioning is on point so you can see it clearly. Have somewhere for people to go to check you out. Have nice photos, all that sort of stuff. Number 5, set up email software, ConvertKit, MailChimp, those kind of things, where you're able to capture emails and in return be able to email them automatically with lead magnets. So create a PDF for people, create videos for people, give them the links once they email you. Once they give you their email, then email them and give them the links to it. And then email them regularly. And if they're in Europe, get permission. Try to invite them to connect with you. Then email them regularly as well. Then execute a social media strategy. Pick a social media channel, maybe 2, but definitely 1, and focus on it. Build your business. That's just someone at the door. Build your business, do what you need to do, and create that as well. Next, decide on a long form content option. So decide what are you going to do in order for you to be able to create a good amount of content, right? So it could be YouTube, it could be podcast, could blog, but create a long form content option for yourself. Decide what that is and then build a schedule. right? Know when consistently, once a week, weekly, that you're going to do it, and make sure that you get it out there. Host live events. Try to do Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives, and then try to do it in real life as well. Get out in front of people, listen to people, talk to people, let people hear you, listen to what it is that they have to say, the way they describe their problems, interact with people to build relationships with them, show that you're a real human being. Create products, make it so that you're building products, really good products that offer your services or the value you have. It's something they can take away with them or apply in the future. Create marketing funnels, set it all automated so that when they do sign up for a lead magnet or they email you or anything like that, they go into a funnel whereby they both are sold to sometimes and also they're nurtured. So they're given lots of value on a consistent basis, and occasionally you sell them things and then you keep going back to nurturing again. And those are the ways to do it. And then lastly, scale to success. Figure out what is it that you need to do to step up, right? So do you need to hire someone that you haven't currently hired? Do you need to advertise your services more, right? Do you need to bring on some staff? Do you need to upgrade this quality of your videos? All different ways to scaling up. But again, try to avoid scaling up before you've set everything else into the fit. So hopefully you found all of this useful. Let me just go through and check to see if there's any comments or questions. This work, great. Thanks, Ambra. Hi, okay, Heidi. Sinu, Christine. Hi, Christine, how's it going? Thanks, Elia. Thanks, Ambra. Thanks, Corolla. Some very familiar names, so that's always good. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. Great, thanks, Corolla. Again, just to let you know the steps one more time. Number 1, build your brand. Number 2, position yourself in the marketplace. Number 3, build your business. Number 4, build your website. Number 5, set up email, set up the email software provider, as well as the lead magnets. Set up 6, execute a social media strategy. 7, decide on a long form content option. 8, build long form content schedule. 9, host live events. 10, create products. 11, create marketing funnels. And 12, scale to success. If I was starting tomorrow, that would be the sequence that I would do everything on. Super. So I hope you found this useful. I hope that it was helpful for you. Those of you who are already members of my business mentorship, can't wait to see you guys again. We're going to be doing another session at the start of February, all about podcasting. I'm going to break down exactly what I do there. And then in March, we've got another cool one to do with videos. And then in April, one on writing a book, an expert book. If you're interested, we'll have a link in the comments section for joining the mentorship, but I highly would recommend it. And you also get the Change Your Minds monthly membership for free as well for signing up. Anyway, hope you found the 12 steps to building an expert business useful. Apologies, you're very welcome, Christina. Apologies, you're very welcome, Angela. You're very welcome, all of you. And apologies at the start of the technical difficulty. It is what it is, you know, no point in beating yourself up. Shit happens, but I'm glad you joined. I'm glad you finally made it. And thank you again for everything. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. If you're watching this after the fact, hope you found it useful. I'm going to put a comment in there to make sure that you skip ahead to, 6 minutes in, so you don't see me waiting for too long. Take care, my friends, be well. And yeah, those of you, you've got one more day to join. For those of you already in, again, we've got an exciting few months coming up. So looking forward to seeing you very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.